Hi everyone, I'm Professor Niv-Solomon, for those of you who don't know me yet, and this is Political Science 371, a class is titled just Terrorism. It's a very broad title, and as you can see, we will try to take on some parts of this topic, and you will probably find that we leave some untouched or not as explored as you would like us to. So, as you know, this is an online asynchronous class, which means we do not have any mandatory class meetings, not on Zoom and not in person. However, if there is an interest at now or at any point throughout the semester, one of you or some of you want me to set up a Zoom meeting, a Zoom discussion, I'm happy to do that as well, or at least to try and coordinate that. Everything you need for this class is on Blackboard, and I will go over some items in a minute or two. But one thing that's very, very important, and I know many of you and most of you have been comfortable with that, is that I value communication with my students, and I want you to let me know what goes well and what doesn't go well, and let me know whenever you have a question, because otherwise I just cannot help you. And so my email address is available on the syllabus, on the contact the professor, on Blackboard, in many other places, and you should just feel free to contact me. During the semester, I promise that I will get back to you within 24 hours. Many days and times it will be much, much quicker than that, but that's at least the minimum that I'm holding myself to. And then if there's a need to set up a meeting, a phone conversation, a Zoom meeting, whatever it is that you would like, we can always do that as well. Let's look a little bit about our Blackboard website. Now, you all have been taking classes online, so I'm not gonna dwell on many of those much, but I just want to make sure that you know where to find everything. And if you don't, and if things are not clear, then just let me know and I'll help you find it. Mostly when you enter the class, you will find yourself here on the announcement page. I will post weekly reminders of what you should be working on this week, what's coming up. And so just, keep an eye on those. You are getting those also in your email box, whatever email Blackboard has for you. If you're using a different email that you want me to send communication to, then just email me that address as well. You can find here all the information on how to contact me. You have my email address. As I said, that's the best to find me. My office is in 2N 230, but I will not be on campus as much this semester. My office hours right now are Mondays from 11 to 12 and Thursdays from 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. and those are held virtually on Zoom. If you would like to see any more background about me, you can find it here on my little webpage. If you do want to attend office hours, you can just go here to the tab of virtual office hours and you will find a link to the Mondays and to the Thursdays. If none of those times is good for you, shoot me an email, we'll make an appointment, I'll send you a Zoom link or a phone number to call to, and we'll do it as that. What I hope all of you have done in the first week is read through the syllabus. What you have down here is just some syllabus highlights, okay? This is just a quick reference of what is going on in this semester. But the actual syllabus is attached over here, and I do hope that you downloaded and read through it and fully understood at least what I'm expecting of you. The book that we are using is called Understanding Terrorism. It's the 7th edition. I think I did put somewhere that if you cannot find this one and you can find the 6th edition, that would be acceptable as well. You may have to be a bit flexible. It is available at the CSI bookstore as a hard copy book. You can order it online, and it is also available as an ebook. Any of those versions, any of those ways to get the book are acceptable. And we are going to be using the book, so please do get it. Okay. The next tab over here shows you a quick view of the schedule. Now, while this is how I would like the semester to go, I also know that things tend to shift and change a lot of times. And so please be patient with me if I make any changes to the schedule. It provides you with the topic, with the timing within the semester. And when I say a week, it can be a bit more or less than 7 days. It's a semester week. And then it provides you the materials that you need to read or review and what you should be doing or completing. Okay? And then come this tab that's called Weekly Plans. And here you can find the content. So we'll have units. And you are clicking on the unit, you're finding folders by week. You'll have a menu here on the side that asks you to, for example, in week number 1, read the syllabus and then just do a quick read for chapter 1. Once you get the book, you should review the mini lecture, which here has still not opened, but it will open towards the end of the first week. And then it has a link to whatever it is that you have to complete this week. In this case, the mandatory discussion forum, which was your introductions, and then the 2 optional forums. One of them is just a question and answers, and the other one is a forum where I allow you to, ask you to tell me what are your expectations from the class, and for me, this has been very helpful for me in the past. So in terms of grading and what is it that you are supposed to complete in the class, in the course, your grade is dependent on 4 components. Okay, the first one is ongoing active participation. Now there is sometimes a temptation in this kind of classes, online asynchronous, to just kind of let things stand, not do the work, not log in, not participate, and then come up at the last 2 weeks and try to cram everything in. Well, that's going to cost you part of your grade, because the best learning experience will happen if all of you will be active participants all the time. So I want you to be logging in at least once every calendar week and participating on the discussion boards, completing the work, doing the reading, reviewing whatever other content is there, so you are progressing with the class as it goes and not trying to cram it all at the end. The discussion forums are a very important part. And here, as you will see, we can look at the first full discussion board that you have to complete, which is discussion board number 2. You'll have a prompt that asks you to complete a task, to read something, to look at something, or to interact with some of the material that we reviewed. And then I ask you to start a discussion, right? Now, you have some mandatory components to those discussions. For each one of those discussion forums, you have to post at least twice before the final work date for this discussion forum. A post could be your own reaction to this initial prompt, or it can be a comment, question, any interaction with something that another student has posted already. And in terms of how long should those posts be, there shouldn't be a one-word post, so the minimum is around 30 words. And again, if you really only needed to say something in 25 words, that's fine. But the point is, this is not I agree kind of response that I'm looking for. So the minimum is 30 words, but the maximum is 250 words. I don't want you to write papers and essays on those discussion forums because we're trying to keep it interactive and to let people ask you questions, reply to others. Think about it as if you're having a conversation in the classroom. Okay? And then I always ask you to feel free to challenge each other, ask questions, challenge me. That's great, but just stay civil and stay on topic. No personal attacks, of course, etc. And then you'll have a complete buy. But this is not, I don't want you to wait until September 12 and then come in and post twice and go away. Of course, you can do that, and by that you have answered my requirements, but I would like people to start posting on September 1st or 2nd and have some interactions with others, but by September 12th, complete everything that you have to do here, right? And then right now you only have this one open and another optional discussion forum, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. But as we go, I will open those discussion forums. There you will usually open up with about 2 weeks of time to complete the work in them. So you have plenty of time for that. Okay, let's go back to the syllabus quickly, right? And so that's 25% of your grade. And then we have short papers, okay? The short papers, and again, there's a tab for each one of them. There's also an explanation on the syllabus, on the full syllabus. The short papers, as it's explained over here, you have to submit 3 of those throughout the semester. There are those due dates over here: September 29, October 23, November 17. Again, this is due by. So if you want to submit it by September 17, that's perfectly fine. But just the absolute last day to submit each of those papers is here. And you have a list of 5 topics, and you have to choose from those 5 topics. I don't care what order. You want to write on number 5 first, and then write on number 1 last, and in the middle to write on number 2. That's perfectly fine. Just make sure that I know which one you picked, and also know that there is some sort of progression here. So while you don't have to go by the order of the topics here, this order is more or less connected to the material that we are reviewing in class. So it just might make sense. But these are short papers, so 1 to 2 pages in length, okay? I would say no more than 500 words on those. You choose from the topics below and in any order that you like. And there are grading rubrics for everything, for the discussion forum, for everything that I ask you to do. There is a grading rubric, so you can review that as well to make sure that you hit all the components that you had to. Okay? Those are not research papers. Those are opinion or reflect papers that are related to the material that we review, and I want to know what you got out of it, what you understood, what do you think about those questions. So it's not a research paper. You don't have to go and find the answer. You have to go and think about the answer. And then you can go in and submit those papers right here. The last component of your grade, and it's also a big one, it's 40%, is a research paper. Now I know, and I already heard from some students, you say research paper and students get a bit anxious about it. And, rightfully so, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong, I guess, in a research paper, and it's not an easy exercise. However, this is an advanced political science class, and like all 300 level and 400 level courses in political science, it's considered writing intensive. And so that is one reason why I assigned a research paper. Another is that because I want you to know how to write a research paper in political science. It could be different if you wrote an excellent paper in philosophy or history or sociology. It's not necessarily the same thing as writing in political science. Okay? Now what I'm looking for is a short, up to 2,700 words, roughly 10 double-spaced pages, give or take, and this is up to. Some of you might be able to work with a narrow research question that you could have a good research paper in 5 to 7 pages, right? But I also don't want anybody going into the 15 to 20 to 25 pages long either. This is an original research paper, right? And original meaning you are the one that needs to come up with the idea, with the research question, and to write the paper. Not to find what, obviously no cheating, no plagiarism, no paying anybody to write it, etc. The topic should be related to terrorism, but it is a topic of your choice. It should be related to terrorism, but that's all about I'm requiring. So what you need to do is you need to come up with your own research question. And I'm encouraging you to think about very specific questions or comparisons. That just would make it easier for you. And in terms of citations and resources, you need to have at least 7 different sources, and at least 5 of those should be articles or books as opposed to websites. Okay? If you have more resources, great. But again, the minimum is 7, and of those 5 should be either articles or books and not website. And I don't really care which style of citation you're using. It could be footnotes, MLA, whatever you like, but you just have to be consistent. And then at the end of the day, you will submit a paper that has a title, an introduction, a research question, literature review, discussion and analysis, a conclusion, and a bibliography. Now, because I know a research paper is a big project and it's not easy, I would like to walk you through the process of writing it and try to help each and every one of you to write the best possible research paper that fits the requirement that I put here. And for that purpose, I broke it down into 6 stages, and throughout the semester, you have to submit each of those 6 components, and you will receive feedback from me on each and every one of them. So there's plenty of time and opportunities for feedback and revisions and discussing what's going on with me, right? And the first deadline is September 15th, so it's coming up fairly early on in the semester. And here, all I want you is to think about your topic, a general idea. What is it that you want to write about? Okay? 1 to 2 sentences. That's all you need to do on the very first deadline, which is September 15. And for that purpose, for those of you who want and like to brainstorm and discuss their ideas with others, I opened another discussion forum. So here what you can do is you can post, I think I want to write about assessment of the global war on terrorism. Fair enough, okay? So that's pretty much all I'm looking for you, but you can post that on the discussion forum over here, and then you'll get some questions and feedback from me and hopefully from other students as well. Now this is completely optional. You can do any of the above. You can just ignore it because it's optional and not ever look at it. You could just be lurking and reading what others are posting and what other feedback they're getting, so you get an idea of what is possible. You could just post your idea and receive feedback from others. You can post your idea and give feedback to others, or you can just give feedback to others and ask questions. All of that are fair play here, but again, this is optional, and it helps you, it should help you in getting to the first step, which is coming up with a topic or a general idea. What is it that you want to write about? Following step is shortly afterwards is to formulate a research question, and I will give you more information about that towards September 10 or so, right? Next step would be a literature review. After that, there is draft 1 that should include the revisions from above, and then an introduction and just kind of a first cut of discussion and analysis, right? And then come draft 2, which would again have the revisions and incorporating the feedback from above, and then add more of the analysis in the discussion and add the conclusion. You'll get feedback on that, and then the final draft, the final paper is due by December 19, which is during exams week. Again, all of those due dates and deadlines are due by, so if you want to complete them earlier, by all means, do so. Okay, and again, you have the place to submit the different stages here. The draft 1, draft 2, and final draft place savers will be open later in the semester, because that's as far as I would like you to know at this point, even if you're working ahead of schedule. So that is what is required of you, right? And again, the discussion board is where we will have the interactive part of the class, right? And this forum, the questions and answers forum, is going to remain open throughout the semester. And whenever you have a question, you can email me, of course, but if you post it here, others will get the benefit of seeing your question and the answer as well. And if I'm not quick enough to get to answer your question, maybe somebody else can answer it for you before me even, right? And then the first kind of on-topic interaction, and where I want you to get fairly on at the beginning of week 2, so around September 2nd or so, is this discussion forum number 2 that talks about 2,000 years of terrorism. If you look at the book, at the inside, front, and back cover, right? There is this timeline that's called 2000 Years of Terror. So what I'm asking you to do is to take a look at that, okay? Review it, and then react to it by making at least one observation or sharing a thought or asking a question or anything that comes to mind that is related to this timeline, right? Make sure that you review all of it, because otherwise you get an incomplete picture of what is going on. Post your reaction here, and we will start the on-topic conversation. So I'm hoping students will get to that in around the very first few days of September, so we can complete that discussion by September 12th. And of course, this optional brainstorming option is open for you as well here. And so, I mean, this was more a review of what's required of you, but if there's one general question that I want you to enter the class with is, what are your general thoughts about terrorism? And what is terrorism? There's many people who say, you know, if it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, then it is a duck. So there are many people who say, well, I know terrorism when I see terrorism, but then there are also other people that are looking more on actual definitions. And this is where we will enter the academic discussion about the topic, is through this idea of, or through this question of, what is terrorism? How, if at all, do we define terrorism? And where does that lead us from that point onward? And so that is all for now, and I invite you to enjoy the class, and please keep things as interactive as possible, because that would be beneficial for yourself and for everybody else as well. I'm always here to help you. If you have questions, just email me or ask it on here on Blackboard. I will see you around next on the mini lecture in week 2.